Before we begin, let's take a moment to remind ourselves how incredibly fortunate we are to be in receipt, to be able to listen to the teachings expounded by the Lord Buddha, to free oneself from the shackles of suffering. So join me in worshipping the Supreme Buddha by chanting Namaskara 3 times altogether and with me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. You see, the Buddha comes into this world to do one thing. I think there's a stanza that he preaches that says he comes into this world to say 3 things. But these 3 things only do one thing. He comes into this world to talk about the three truths. 3 truths. And by understanding these three truths, one is able to liberate themselves from suffering. Now, this is very interesting. Because if we really think about this, how can just 3 truths be able to do so much to stop, to eradicate suffering? Is it possible that 3 things, just 3 things, can do all that? Now, before we explore these 3 things and before we talk even further, I really wanted to start off by explaining exactly what he was trying to do. Because what we tend to not realize is how important our mind is. Because if you think about this, how many of you have a mind? How many of you have a mind? See, I could say, how many of you have keys right now? And there'll be some of you who says, yeah, I have keys. Some of you say, well, I don't. If I asked you, okay, put your hand up if you have, say, I don't know, say, a pirit thread on your arm, on your hand. Now, there'll be some of you who says, yes, I have. Some of you say, no, I don't. If I said, how many of you have a phone? Again, there'll be a certain number of the population that says, no, we don't. And there'll be more that says, yes, we do. But if I asked you, how many of you have a mind? What would your answer be? Would some people say, no, we don't? You see, it's very interesting because we all have a mind. Every single one of us, anyone who can hear these words, whether it's you, whether it's me, if there's an ant somewhere, right? If there's an animal, a bird outside, if they can hear these things, if they can hear what I'm saying, they have a mind. They don't need to understand. If they can hear, that's enough. They have a mind. Because a mind's basic need, or the basic function of a mind is what? To find out. Is to find out. Because if we did not have a mind, how different do you think the world would be? If we don't have a mind, how different will the world be? There wouldn't be a world for you. Right, let me explain. Now, there's a massive confusion of, okay, is the brain the mind? Is the mind the brain? And the way I can explain this, or the way I understand this, is, well, they're two different things, very closely linked, but they're different. Because if I was to ask you, what is the difference between you and a dead body? Well, you'll say, well, I'm alive, and the dead body is dead, of course. But let's say we find a way to, pump blood around the body, get the brain to function. Right? If we gave the body all the vital things it needs, will the body somehow come into being? Will we be able to make Frankenstein? No, because there's a difference. Because the difference is a mind is what is the mental process of the brain. Or that's how I like to think of it. The mind is a mental process of the brain. Like, you know how you can have hardware and then software? So a great example would be, on your phones, right? There's you probably have all heard of the app Subway Surfer. The guy that jumps on trains and rolls on around. Your phone can run that, but is there a specific area of the phone that says Subway Surfer? This chip is for Subway Surfer. No, it has all this. It's got all the parts, and using these parts, is it able to run a software or is able to run a program called Subway Surfer? So without the brain, the chances of a mind is rare. But then without a mind, well, what is the purpose of the hardware? Now, I'm not here to come into the argument or the debate about is the mind the brain or the brain the mind. No, I really want to talk about, the most important thing about the most important thing about the mind is what? We all have it. Can we control it? Don't you really wish that we can actually re-control our mind? Because, we can say things and do things and have ideas that we don't really like. So, a couple weeks back, for those of you who may not know, in our school, the Noble International School, our children have had exams and they've got their results back. And some children, they'll come up and say, I find it so hard to revise. I get distracted all the time. Okay, a better question. How many of you would say, sorry, Nasser, I am the world's most greatest, the world's most greatest procrastinator? I can't get anything done. I'm supposed to do this, but I do this instead. Now, if you are a procrastinator, what does that mean? That means the mind is not under whose control? Your control. That's why I would say, for example, these children, they're trying to revise, but they get distracted. What does that mean? Oh, the mind's not under their control. Because if it was, how easy do you think it is for a child to sit down and revise? How easy is it for a child to do an exam? But unfortunately, it's not like that. Because why? The mind is not under our control. Now, because the mind's not under our control, it leads to, well, it has an effect. It has an effect. Now you tell me, if something isn't working the way that you want it to work, what happens? What happens? If something's not working the way you want it to work, what happens? Are you happy? No, your smile turns into a frown. Because now you're upset because it's not working. Now, what's the worst thing is, what's even worse is if you don't know why it's not working. Like a good example would be, like say, like I think I've used the example before, but it's a very nice example. Let's say you buy a new washing machine, a brand new washing machine. You've never used it before, but it's brand new, right? For some reason, you can connect it to Wi-Fi, right? Why does a washing machine need Wi-Fi? Who knows? But this washing machine needs Wi-Fi. Right? It's all very technical, got all these dials and buttons and all these weird switches and whatnot. We very simply just want to, we have some clothes, we want to put it in the washing machine, get it washed, and then take it out. So what do? We turn the washing machine on. We put the clothes inside. We look at the dial, we turn it to which one we want, and we press start. When we press start, if the clothes don't get washed, or simply on the display, the massive 6-inch display says error code 101, what do we do? If our washing machine gives us an error code 101, what do we do? Well, the first thing that we do is very simple. We turn it off and we turn it back on again. And then what? Press start. Still error code 101. What do we do again? Maybe it didn't restart properly. You turn it off, you take off the plug, you blow the plug, you put the plug back in, you turn it on, you press start. Still error code 101. Now what do? What do? You can do one of three things. Number one is you call a friend. You call someone who knows about it, right? You call them and you say, look, I have this washing machine, it's not starting, it's giving me an error code 101. What should I do? If the other person knows about the washing machine, they'll say, oh, error code 101. Oh, that means you haven't done this, this, and this. If you do this, this, and this, the error code should disappear. Or number two, what else can you do? Nowadays, we are very fortunate to be in the era of technology, era of information. All you have to do is you pick up your phone and you type this model of washing machine, error code 101, and it will give you some sort of solution. Right? You follow that way step by step and you'll overcome this error. What's number three? With the washing machine, we're given a forbidden book, a book that we never use, we never touch. You know the book I'm talking about? It's the manual, right? We open the manual and we say, oh, error code 101. Oh, okay, I have to do this, this, and this. See, these are the three ways we can overcome an issue that the washing machine tells us. When it says error code 101, we know that there's a way to overcome this. However, with the machine of the mind, when the mind has an error code, what do we do? See, the mind has various amount of error code. And you know this. I'll give you an example. Frustration. That is your mind giving you an error code. See, it doesn't give you a number, unfortunately. So you don't know exactly the number, but you feel what? Frustration. Stress. Anger. Hatred. These are all your mind telling you, excuse me, there's something wrong here. Help me. Right? Error, error, error. Fix me. And we see it as an issue. That's why we don't like frustration. That's why we don't like stress. That's why we don't like hating. However, we don't have Google. We don't have the manual. We don't have another person to ask that can give us a good solution. So what do we do? The very simple, press to restart. Restart the mind. How can I stop this problem from coming? What should I do? Just think about the ways you try to get rid of your frustration. Think of the ways you try to get rid of your stress. How many of these are actually, targeting stress? How many of these are actually targeting anger? When you're really angry, what do? You take a walk to blow off steam. How does a walk and anger, how are they correlated? Walk and anger? How much do you have to walk to get rid of anger? Or how much lack of walking will increase your anger? Are they linked? Or is that trying to press the restart button? What about, you're extremely stressed about work, right? You've been overloaded with tons of work and you have no idea what you're going to do. So what do? You sit you sit on the sofa, right? And you turn on the TV. Feeling overloaded and TV. How are they connected? So the more overloaded you feel, the more TV you should watch. Or the less TV you watch, the more overloaded you feel. Are they connected? No, this is again a way for us to press restart. For us to press restart, to restart the mind, trying to find that, a different solution. Trying to find, the solution for this error code that the mind that pops up in the mind. Anger, stress, frustration, all of these are simple error codes. This is why we need either Google, we need either a person or the manual. Unfortunately, how many of you, coming out of your mother's womb, how many of you took with you or brought into this world a book, the manual of the mind? Just imagine babies carrying books around with them, the manual of the mind. How many of us were born with this book? We wish. How many of our life's problems would have disappeared if we had the manual? No. But we weren't. The mind is a mystery. The mind is a mystery for most of the population. They don't know why. They don't know how. They just look at it and say, okay, that's how it is. And it creates lots of problems. It really does. If I was to even ask you, okay, look into your life and see the amount of error codes and the solutions to error codes that you've tried, are they successful? I think last week we talked about, the amount of chocolate a person will eat. Yes? 7,000 bars of chocolate in an average lifetime. I mean, yeah, so those of you who may not have been here last week, we talked about, how much chocolate a person will consume, an average person will consume in a lifetime. And it was a study done back in 2021 or 2020. 7,000, if I remember correctly, 7,600 and something bars of chocolate in a person's lifetime. Now, this is something that is a solution to one of the mind's error codes. But if it's a solution, shouldn't it only happen just once? A solution to a problem should not let the problem come it should stop the problem from arising again, right? or it's not a proper solution. It's a temporary solution. We don't want temporary solution. We want permanent ones. So this is the thing. The mind is a mystery for most of us. Why am I thinking this? Why am I feeling this? Why am I frustrated? Why am I angry? It lays a mystery. And this mystery causes so much chaos. So much, it gives us such hectic lives. And the worst thing is, no matter how far you run, can you leave your mind behind? We give up, let's go to Mars, escape from all our problems. Will Mars be the solution? Is Mars away from your mind? Is it? No matter how far you run, no matter, how deep you run, wherever you go, your mind will follow. Now, this is like saying the mind's a terrible thing. I'm not saying the mind is terrible. The mind is a piece of the most miraculous thing in the world. The mind is amazing, but it gives us problems. Now, the solution isn't to run away from the problems or the mind. The solution is to understand the mind, to finally open the manual and read the manual, to finally, find out, why am I feeling what I'm feeling? That's what we have to do. By understanding the mind itself, we're able to get rid of what? The problems that we face. That's why the Buddha comes into this world to talk about three truths. By talking about these three truths, it helps the what? The world? No, it helps the mind. By helping the mind, it's removing the problems that you face. You see, this is why the Buddha comes into this world to talk about these three truths. These three truths that's able to set a person free. So, what are these three truths? So let's take one emotion. Let's take a single emotion, an emotion that, we really, really, something that we all feel, but we really want to get rid of. Yeah, let's just take an emotion. Let's take the emotion of, I think out of all the emotions that we feel, I think anger is one that we hate the most. Okay, stress is okay, right? You get stress, but stress we can handle sometimes, right? Frustration is still okay, but when we become angry, now that's an issue. Because the thing about anger is, stress is very internal. Frustration is also internal. But anger, the way I think of anger is, have you all seen test tubes? Scientific test tubes? The way I see anger is almost like a test tube, but the test tube is open both ways. There's a bung one end and a bung the other end. And inside there's an explosive. And you're holding this like this. Normally when you do an experiment, you keep it very safe, right? In a controlled environment inside. But you're looking at the experiment like this. One point is pointing at you, the other pointing outside. When the explosive explodes, what will happen? What will happen? Either this one will blow this way, or that one will blow that way. See, when you have anger, if you hold it in, who's hurting? Yourself. If you release it, who's hurting? Now, it doesn't need to be someone. It could be something, right? For example, I know lots of people, and it's a big issue as well. Lots of people, they take their anger out on their pets. Yeah, it's seriously a very heartbreaking thing. If they get really angry, right? Usually they're really angry with work, with their boss, because the boss is not nice or whatnot. And they take their anger out. They store this anger and they want to release it. If they hold it, it's hurting them. So what do they do? They find ways to release it. That's why, if a parent is having a very stressful day, usually the child can feel it. Because why? When you feel angry, if you hold anger in, you're hurting yourself. If you release anger, you're hurting someone else or something else. For example, you can scream at a pillow, but still, it's releasing it. Either way, you're doing harm. That's why anger is one emotion that is harmful for both yourself and for others. Desire is different. Desire isn't like this. Desire is more like a flame. Or flames are nice. A fire. It's more like a fire. Because how do we extinguish a fire? You've all seen fire extinguishers, right? You've all seen on the side it says use for wood fires, or would there be, say, for example, carbon dioxide, use for electrical fires. Because there are some fires that if you use the wrong extinguisher, you're making the fire worse. For example, for a fire with oil, if you were to use water, what you're doing is you're spreading the fire around, making the fire bigger. So you use other things. So desire is more like a fire. Because if you don't do anything, what happens? You're burning. If you do something, to the fire, so I'm not saying to extinguish it. If you put something on the fire, so for example, piece of paper, for a few seconds, the fire would have reduced. Now, I don't know, in our past and in our monastery as well, to save gas and whatnot, we use coconut shells. So Sri Lankans, our food is very high. We'll use lots of coconuts. So coconut shells are very, very flammable, right? And they produce so much heat. So for example, today most of your meals would have used coconut shells in some sort of way. And the other day when I was in the kitchen looking at watching around and helping around, something you really notice is that there's a fireplace. And usually there's a big fire. When there's a big fire, you can't go close to the fire because it burns. Fire burns. I think even a 3-year-old knows that, right? A fire burns. If you add fuel to the fire, for about couple of minutes to seconds to minutes, the heat of the fire reduces. The heat of the fire reduces. But then what happens? When the fuel catches light, now the fire is worse than it started off. That is the exact same thing with desire. Desire is like a fire that every single time what we're doing is we're adding fuel for that millisecond of relief or the this millisecond of reduction of the fire, but it always comes back harder. So coming back to anger, anger is like this. So this is why anger is an emotion that we all really want to get rid of. So if I asked you, why do we become angry? Where does anger come from? Now, this is when we take a finger and we start using, the blaming game. Yeah, very easy. It's his fault, her fault, their fault, them, theirs. That's. And you always blame something. There's always something to blame. For example, the car's not starting. Whose fault is that? Or let's say you're trying to open a door, but the door's not opening. Or a colleague, right, at work is being really annoying. Whose fault is that? Very easy. You take the finger and you point this. The TV is not working. Who's making you angry? The TV. Right? This mic's not working. Whose fault is it? The mic. Very easy. We take the finger and we go, oh, it's this, that, this. And we blame. We spread blame. Because because we have this feeling that, you know what, I'm correct. Everyone else is wrong. No. How many of you actually think, you know what, I'm angry not because of anything but myself? Like, I make myself angry. So if the TV is not working, you don't blame the TV, you blame yourself. How many of you do actually do that? No. If the TV is not working, who do we blame? We blame the TV. Say, TV, why aren't you working? Shouldn't you be working? Because we like blaming. Why do we like blaming? Because we think that anger comes from what? The anger comes from what? TV not working. But where does anger actually come from? Imagine we're all here talking about something really important, right? Suddenly this TV turns on, right? And there's a video of cats playing. But let's say we're talking about something really important. This video of cats playing, is that something that will give you, even though it's cats playing, would it give you pleasure if we're talking about something really important here? No, your first thing will be you'll look back and say, who turned on the TV? Because even though it's something that may have given you pleasure before, if it comes at a time that you don't want it, then, for example, you're home, right, at home, right? Let's say you're in the kitchen, right, making some food. Suddenly the TV turns on. I don't know. Would you enjoy that experience? You're in the kitchen and suddenly you hear the TV turn on. And you hear the TV change channel, but you know that you're here by yourself. There's no one else at home. That's worrying, isn't it? But if you're sat on the sofa with the remote in hand and you turn on the TV and you're changing channels and it doesn't work, again, you're annoyed. Wait, so is it the TV working that makes you annoyed or the TV not working that makes you annoyed? Which one? Okay, you have to choose. Which one do you want to be annoyed at? TV working? TV not working? When you're in the kitchen, if the TV is working, you're annoyed, right? You're scared. You're confused. When you're sat down on the sofa and the TV isn't working, now what? Again, you're confused, you're annoyed, you're frustrated. Both of them is an event that makes you feel annoyed or frustrated or even angry. Why? Why does why does the TV either working or not working, how can it still both, right? Both of them can make you annoyed. Why is that? Which one is it that makes you annoyed? The TV working or not working? Neither. See, we have to understand that pointing the finger outwards isn't the way. Because whether the TV is working or not working isn't the issue. It's what? Whether I want what? Whether I want the TV to be working or not working. Now, unfortunately, I don't think this TV can read minds. Can it? Well, can the TV read your mind and understand whether you want the TV to be on or off? It doesn't. It can't read minds. Simply put, even the world's most advanced species still can't read minds. Right? Humans can't read minds, can we? You know how easy would life be if you can read minds? That means no one will unknowingly make you upset. Because why? They can read your mind. That means you won't unwillingly make anyone else upset if you can read their minds. So if we took anger, why do we get angry? Our anger is because we think that, this isn't working the way that I want it to work. Now, this is very, very interesting. Because this has many, 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 many layers to it. The more you understand the Buddha's Dhamma, the more you understand the layers, the layers underneath layers underneath layers. Because we can start talking about one of the lowest layers and talk about just energy. Or we can take the highest layer and say, I don't want the TV, I want the TV to be on. Between this and that, there are actually more layers than we can count. Because it comes from your understanding. To how much of the truth you understand will you be able to see the depth of the problem? Now, when we talk about anger, this isn't always about the anger that makes our face go red and makes our hands into fists, and this full anger that we feel, this rage. No, anger is not as big as that. Anger can be as big as that and as little as you feeling, simple as if I'm writing it's not okay, not that. It's cat. Right? Even as simple as you being, wait, what, why is it like this? No, it shouldn't be like this. That also has a modicum of anger in it. It's not, again, the full rage, but it's a kind of a disappointment almost. You go, why is it like this? No, change. And that itself, even this. On a perfectly clean whiteboard, you have this area of smudged ink. See, if you feel, that's also driven by what? That's also driven by what? See, when we talk about, because anger, yes, anger is, the anger, but anger is also as small as this. That's why anger is the more you're really aware, For as long as you're mindfully aware, you realize how small anger can become. That in every so often, how often you become angry. That's why, they say intelligence is, or how the way you measure intelligence is by knowing how much you don't know. That's how you know you're intelligent. Because as you ask little children why something is happening, and trust me, they'll give you a solution, right? You ask them why are there clouds, right? Small children, they'll give you a solution. What would they say? And I kid you not, this is exactly what a child has told me. Clouds are there because I had two people said, two children. One child said clouds are there because there are people that make clouds from factories, right? Because sometimes we want it to rain, and so they make clouds that are gray. That's one child. Another child has told me clouds are there because when we breathe. So this child lives in a very cold country. When we breathe, it creates the mist, the fog, right? And that all collects together and makes clouds. So you ask children will know. As you start to learn about clouds, the people who knows a lot about clouds will say, there are so much things about clouds we don't know. And they'll be like, oh, trust me, I don't know much about clouds. But they'll say, how the cloud is the certain shape, why is it like this, why is it moving like this, is a mystery to us. Because the more you know, the more you know you don't know. So coming back, so the more mindfully aware you are, the more you realize how small anger can become, how small desire can become, how small ego can become. Because these are the three poisons. So in Buddhism, we talk about three poisons: desire, aversion, delusion, or simply desire, anger, and ego, pride and ego. These are three things that poison the mind. Poison meaning it brings us lots of suffering in the mind. And almost all emotions stems from these three things. See, embarrassment. What's that? Embarrassment is what? Ego and aversion. What? Surprise. Desire. Desire and also a bit of aversion. Yes, we like surprises, but why are surprises surprising? Because something didn't go the way because something happened that it's a positive outcome. However, it's not something that you expected. You wanted to go one way and you go, but you realize it's better than you thought. Therefore, you're surprised. So still, there's a modicum of what? Aversion there. What else? Another emotion. Fear. Fear is also aversion. And ego. Why does fear have ego? Well, because you're scared for what? You're scared for what? I'm scared for my life. Because you think that that thing is going to hurt who? Me. That's why if you saw a pillow roll down a hill, you're not going to be scared. But if you saw an animal charge down a hill, now you're scared. Because you think that, pillows won't do anything, whereas the animal might. So almost all emotions stem from these three things. You say this. All emotions all error codes. There you go. All emotional error codes stem from these three things: desire, aversion, delusion, the three poisons. So you'll realize that, every single time one of these three things will be there. One of these three poisons will have leaked its way into our mind. And so the more mindfully aware you are, the more you're able to realize, it's there. Error code is there. Error code is there. So the more you know, the more you realize that there's so much more that we have to do. So coming back, okay, why do we become angry? Like I said, there's levels to this. We'll start from the high levels and we'll slowly bring our way down. So if I asked you, why are we angry the TV is not working? Right? The screen isn't working. Now you'll say it's because, I want the TV to work. And the TV is not working. Therefore, I'm angry. So here, you first realize that it's not because of the TV, either it's working or not working, that I'm angry. It's because I want it to happen some way, and it's not happened that way. So whose fault is that? The screen's fault, or your fault, because you wanted to do something. If you don't really care whether the TV is on or off. So for example, let's say you have a little child at home, right? You've got a child at home. And the child is turning on the TV and turning off the TV, and you're doing something completely different. Do you care if the TV is on or off now? Well, no, because it's not something that you want to be on or not want to be on. It's just happening. So you first realize that the problem is not there. The problem is where? Here. It's because I want something. Now that is layer number one. What else can we do? So what would be the layer underneath that? Why is it that we want the TV to turn on? Why is it that we want the TV to turn on? What is it that we expect from the TV? We expect when I turn the TV on, something good will be on TV. Something interesting will be on TV. Something that I like will be on TV. Now, when we say about something that I like to be on TV, this is very interesting, because what you like isn't what you think that isn't always what you think that you like. For example, anyone here like murders? We don't like murders, but what happens if we're watching a true crime documentary? Now, this is very interesting. Why did this person murder this person? And they're explaining why. Why do you find that interesting? Because it's not that you don't like murder. It's that you're interested to understand why something has happened. For example, on the news. So currently on the news, there has been, you may all have, you of course know, but I found out very recently that there's been massive fires in the city of fallen angels in LA over the past, I think, weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong. Weeks. Now, we don't like hearing that. However, we like the news for giving us information. So yes, we don't like hearing what's on the news, but we like the news for giving us information. So we don't like hearing about fires, but we do like hearing about fires. We don't like hearing about murders, but we do like hearing about murders. We don't like hearing about how, tragic an event was, but we do like hearing about how tragic the event was. So it goes both ways. But either way, what are we looking for? What are we looking for? Either way, we're looking for what? When I turn on that TV, it's going to be something that gives me what? Pleasure. If you turn on the TV and the TV has something, say for example, of squirming worms on TV, would you continue to watch that episode? If there's nothing else that you can do, you would still watch it and you would still enjoy it. If you are bored out of your mind, you would watch paint dry. If you are bored out of your mind, you would watch paint dry. Now, these TVs, you don't get this anymore, but I wonder if you still remember, because I remember in my childhood, there used to be TVs that, when it has that, what do you call it, the electrical fuzz, and the disturbance, there you go, with the black and white like dots everywhere. I remember sitting there. I was extremely bored one day. And I'll just sit there and look at this disturbance, right? And imagine just worms and things. I was extremely bored. Bored and small. Children, they have ways of having fun. So exactly. So even if you were bored out of your mind, you would actually watch paint dry. Because it's actually, when everything else is boring, paint drying becomes that slight bit interesting. And it will be something that gives you pleasure. So like that. So why do we want the TV to turn on? In hope that once it turns on, it'll be something that gives you pleasure. Now, I won't go into pleasure here, but we all now should know that pleasure is something that comes from the relief of mental pressure. The more the mental pressure, the more the relief, the more pleasure that we receive. So by understanding that, again, you realize why do I want the TV to turn on? For pleasure. Does pleasure truly come from the TV? Then you can go one step further. Why has the TV... So you want the TV to turn on, but the TV hadn't turned on. Why is the TV not working? Why is the TV not working? This is where you use one of the most profound, one of the most truly eye-opening theories that is out there. And that's the theory of what? Cause and effect. Because what is it? Because a TV to be working is what? A TV to be working, there are causes that have to be put into play for the TV to be working. For example, electricity, wires, let's see if I remember, transistors, resistors, diodes, IC, capacitors, X, Y, Z, and all this other stuff for this to turn on. All of these have to be working. All of these have to be working for the TV to turn on. If one wire was to not work, now, would the TV turn on? So for the TV to turn on, does it depend on you? Entirely, does it depend on you? Are you part of the equation for the TV to turn on? Well, you can say yes, because I'm the one who turned on the TV. I pressed the button. No. You didn't turn the TV on. What did you do? You supplied a what? A cause. That cause lines up with everything else. that gives rise to the effect of the TV being on? Was it you who turned it on, or was it the causes coming into play that turns it on? That's why if you... Does the TV turn on if you press the button, or does the TV turn on if the button is pressed? The TV turns on if the button is pressed. Whether you turn it on, whether your pet turns it on, whether it falls onto the floor and it hits the button, either way, if the button is pressed, the TV is turned on. Well, you can even go further than that and say the button doesn't need to be there. If the signal is transmitted, the TV will turn on. That's why, I remember talking to a child who was in love with electronics. He found a way to turn on other TVs with something that he's made. Right? I get to meet very, 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 very amazing people. Honestly, I do. I really do enjoy it. Right? So he was able to make something that's able to turn on TVs wherever he wanted to go. Right? Very destructive, but very smart. Because why? Is it because you press the button that the TV turns on, or is it because the signal has, the signal has been given? The signal has been given. So pressing the button, signal TV turns on. Is it because you want it to work? Is it because you don't want it to work? No, the TV doesn't work the way that you want it to work. Instead, the TV works according to what? The causes at play. The causes coming together in the right way gives rise to the effect. Okay, let's go one step deeper. What is a TV? What is a TV? So right now we said a TV is made from what? A TV is made from wires and all these electronic components. That's what makes a TV. But what is a TV? Here's the question. Is the TV made electronic components, or does the electronic components make the TV? Is the TV made from electronic components, or is the electronic components the TV? This is two things. If the TV was made from the electronic components, by removing the electronic components, what should remain? The TV. So if I took out the wires, if I took out the circuits, the buttons, the screen, the plastic, the metal, will there be a TV here? If I took out all these things, would there be a TV here? So what is a TV? A TV itself is what? The causes, the parts coming together to give rise to what? The effect. The effect we call what? TV. For example, let's say, right, we took something heavy, right? I think this looks heavy. We took this heavy thing, and let's say somehow it flies out my hand and hits the TV. What will happen to the TV? What will happen to the TV? Nothing happens to the TV. But what happens? The causes change that give rise to the effect of broken TV. Not that the TV is broken. These change. Therefore, the effect, which we call TV, is changed. Now, this is very subtle, but very important. Because if you were to think that the TV is broken, now you're really upset. Because why? I broke the TV. But if you realize that TV is just causes coming together to give rise to this effect, which we call TV, that means I can't break the TV. What can I do? I can only change I can only, not even I can change. I can either add or remove causes that give rise to the effect that we can no longer call TV, but we call it what? The broken TV. So if I ask you, did the TV break? Or did the causes now give rise to a broken TV? The causes give rise to a broken TV. So did I break the TV? Did your child break the TV? Who broke the TV? No. The causes come together to give rise to the effect, which we call broken TV. So the TV, the concept of TV is what? Cause and effects. Let's go one level more down, right? One level further. Now, these levels, they're jumping up and down. So some of these will be more advanced, some of these will be less advanced. But these are all things that will actually make you think and show you the reality. So right now we've talked about wanting. We talked about pleasure very briefly. Now we're talking about the reality of the TV itself. So first of all, the TV, the causes have to come together to make the TV work. But the TV itself is what? Cause and effect. When the causes come together, do we get the effect? So can I break the TV? Let's change color. Okay, this is when you have to appreciate my artwork. I'm amazing at art. You'll see. Triangle. This is the cloud making machine. What have I made? What have I made? What have I made? A drawing of what? A house needs a window, right? We draw the windows. Got two windows. Two windows, house, right, with a door. What have I made? Have I made a house? Or did I draw a house? How many of you saw me draw a house? Did you all are my evidence. I drew this, right? I drew the house. Did I draw a house? What did I do? Very simple. I just drew lines. Did I draw a door or did I draw 3 lines? Did I draw a window or did I draw, I'm counting here, 6 lines? What did I do? All I did was arrange the causes in a certain way, which gave rise to the effect which we call house. Because I can take, say for example, the window. And I can say, well, a window is 6 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold up. 4, 5, 6. I made a funnel. 6 lines, funnel. 6 lines, window. How are they different? How are they different? Did I make the funnel? Did I make the window? No, 6 lines arranged in some sort of way gives rise to what? An effect. So did I make it? Who made it? Well, no one made it. Except all I did was draw lines. You're the one who took it and thought, okay, this is a window. For example, tell me what this is. Three lines. What is this? These are 3 lines. What is this? You tell me what this is. Let's hear from the audience. What do you think this is? What is this? I drew 3 lines. What is it? Say again? Huh? We got pie, thank you. We got pie here. Right? What else do we have? A table. What else? What else? I see the stone hedge. Yeah. What else? A bridge. All I did is what? 3 lines. 3 lines, that's all. How do we all see different things? See, when I say pie, you're like, oh, yeah, I see pie. When someone says table, you say, oh, I can see it as a table. When someone says it's a bridge, I see it looks like a bridge. Double T. You can say it's almost like a road, a dead end. Yeah. So different times, you can say, I can say something, and it will say, and you can say, oh yeah, I can see that. Not just myself, but children around the world have amazing drawings. If you ever get to meet a toddler, ask them to draw 2 pictures. Ask them to draw a balloon and ask them to draw a spoon. I'll tell you what they draw. Right? So basically, I'll draw how I think they look like. That's my balloon. That's my spoon. Children will draw it very, very similar to this. They'll have maybe for the balloon, they'll have wiggly line. And for the spoon, they'll maybe have a thicker line here. Apart from that, they look pretty much identical. However, if you ask a child, this is a spoon. No. This is my balloon. This is the balloon. This one, that's the balloon. No. That's a spoon. Have you ever had like children draw something and it looks nothing like what they've they've named it something? Looks nothing alike. But they still say, oh, They'll like draw a scribble and go, this is me flying on an airplane. And you say, wow, your art is amazing. I can see it. That's you, right? I'm like, no, that's not me. That's me. Like, oh, sorry, I didn't see that. Oh, yeah. Because in their mind, they've taken this and they've made the perception of what? That this is what I've drew. This is what I drew. So coming back, house. Did I make a house? What I did was draw lines. Drawing the lines gave rise to the effect of what? For some of you, a house. Some of you would be, a 2-story house. For some of you, it would be, I don't know, a detached house. I don't know. You tell me. You'll give it different names. According to your views, you'll see it differently. Okay. Someone comes and does this. What happened to the house? What has happened to the house? The house is destroyed. No. Is the house destroyed? What happened to the house? Nothing happened to the house. A house was just the name we gave to that effect. Now what name do we give this effect? A house without a wall. A house without a floor. A house without a wall. A house without a door. A house without a window. A house without 2 windows. A house without a roof. A house without chimney. This is a house without a roof, a chimney, a house. Is this a house? Is this a house? Is it smoke? Is it smoke? No, this is just what? A scribble. You come into a room and you see this on a board. What do you think? Where's the child that scribbled this on the board? You don't think, that's the smoke of a house. Like, I see. No, you say, okay, that's a scribble, right? And you would actually go around and rub it out, be like, that shouldn't be on the board. So, is the TV? So, what is the TV? The TV is like that house. The TV is just these causes coming together to give rise to the effect of TV. Where? Where does the effect of TV lie? Where does the effect of TV lie? Here, right? Is the TV? No, it lies in your mind. Nowhere else. For you, this is a TV. For an ant, what is this? This is like a wall. That's why. For some of you, this is pie. For others of you, this is a table. So for those of you who have learned maths and had drowned in the sea of maths, that's pi. For those of you who've drowned in the sea of art, that's a table. Or drowned in the sea of children, that's a table, right? Young children. Because adults don't draw tables like this. We draw tables very, very professionally, right? With 4 legs, not 2, right? So this is a table, or it'll be a bridge. According to one another, it'll be something different. So this TV is only a TV where? Nowhere else but your own mind. But does that mean there's nothing here? No, there's causes here. I mean, there's wires, screens, and whatnot, all here. But the effect that you feel to be a TV, that's what? A perception in the mind. That's why it's very interesting when we start talking about color. I Our teachers have talked about colors for some time, and it's very interesting because we always believe that color is what color. You turn on TV and it has a video of or has a photo of a yellow sunflower. We feel that the yellow sunflower is where? In the TV. That's why, that's why grandparents, when they, back when they didn't have TVs, right? When they were first introduced to TVs, it used to be, magic. I remember, I really remember someone telling me that that one of their grandparents used to think that there were small people inside the television that literally like put things onto the screen to show other people. So if there's a flower, there's an actual person holding a flower inside this TV. They thought it was magic. That's why they used to be really scared of the TV, especially because it used to be like really big. Something could fit inside the TV like that, but nowadays very thin, curved as well. Now you can't fit things inside. But people used to think that. But we know that we still think that, okay, when the TV is on, there's a picture of a flower. Where does the flower come from? From the TV. However, what is color? What is color? Color isn't something that can come from a TV. Color isn't something that can come from this pen. Color isn't something that can come from any of this. Then what is color? Now, this may seem so strange. Like color doesn't come from this. Is not blue. This is not green. Color is something that the mind perceives. Because outside your eyes, is there color? Because if I was to ask you, what is color? Color is what? We've all learned this in school, right? Light hits the object, hits the object. The object then absorbs some light, reflects some light, right? And that light goes into your eye. So did color go into your eyes or did light go into your eyes? Light. So what is light? Light is just a packet of energy. Light is just a packet of energy. What color does energy have? What color is sound energy? What color is heat energy? See, when we think about heat energy, we think of like a good red. Cold is going to be a blue. But what color is heat? Heat doesn't have a color. Sound doesn't have a color. Light itself doesn't have a color. Color is what happens when the eyes take the light, translate it into an electrical signal, send it to the brain. The brain interprets it and sends it to the mind. That's when color arises. Color is not here, but in the mind. So you turn on the TV expecting to see what? Your favorite TV show, which is basically what? Colors jumping around here and there. But when you turn on the TV, what are you actually seeing? Light coming into your eyes, getting translated, going to the mind for you to see what you're seeing. So if we were to take a camera outside of your mental perceptions and take a recording of you watching TV, You staring at this blank TV and you staring at the TV being on, what's the difference? If we take a camera outside of your mental perception, so outside of your perception, whether you're seeing a blank TV or you see this TV full of color outside your eyes, basically same thing. Because all this is giving you is what? Light. Lights at different wavelengths. I wonder if you have, it's something's very common, but have you ever tried those colorblind tests? I mean, there are hundreds of them, I think, on YouTube and whatnot. Especially there's ones that ask you to find different shades, right? So they'll give you a row of colors, or they'll give you one block of color with they're separate, and they'll have one block which is slightly different, and they ask you to pick it out. Now, as the stages move on, it becomes harder and harder. So there'll be some colors, for example, like red, which is really easy, but then other colors more towards blue and slight changes, which we don't perceive. Only after they remove the borders do you see there's a difference between light. There's a slight difference between these two shades of blue. But once those borders are in place, you don't see a difference. You see it as, oh, blue. Because these screens can only show you 3 colors, RGB. But yet you're seeing a whole rainbow of colors. You ask a technician how many bulbs or how many different color bulbs or LEDs are in the screen. They'll simply say just 3: red, green, and blue. That's it. So if you were to see orange, where's that orange from? Which bulb is that orange from? The bulb of the mind. The mental bulb. Because apart from that, there is no light here. So, there's no color here. So coming back to this, coming back to these levels, so if you were to now you're taking it one step further. Yes, I want the TV to turn on, but then what is a TV? If you can answer what is your TV, what is the TV? Now you've entered a point where you realize that a TV is just a mental perception. The TV is just a mental perception. Only the mind can perceive it. Only the mind can perceive it. So me pressing this button to turn the TV on, if it works, that's not because I want it to work. That's because the causes come together to give rise to this effect. We're going to touch upon the next layer, right? Because this layer is, I feel, to be one of the most interesting layers. But we'll briefly touch upon it, but we won't go too deep on this. You press the button. Agreed. Agreed. All right, let's draw this out so it's very easy to understand. Right. Again, my art skills are amazing, but I promise I'll reduce my art skills for you all to realize what I'm drawing. So I don't want you to think that I'm Mozart. No, that I'm Leonardo da Vinci or whatever. Right. This is. TVs don't have antennas anymore. This is TV. remote with one button. That's the on-off button. Now this is when I'm going to, okay. It's a hand. That's the mind. Why is the mind a circle? Because I want it to be a circle. I could have made it a triangle, but I want it to be a circle. That's why it's a circle. Because the mind does not have a physical representation. So right now we've talked about this. Now for you to turn this on, this is really interesting. Let's see if I can explain this in a very simple way. For the TV to turn on, what is the first thing that needs to happen? For the TV to turn on, what is the first thing that needs to happen? First of all, someone has to have the idea to turn the TV on. So this is saying, if this TV is working because we press the button, right? First thing that happens is a thought has to arise. Where does the thought arise from? Like, where does it come from? This is a thought. A thought comes into the mind. Where did the thought come from? Where did the thought come from? So it's like me asking, where do ideas come from? For the time being, we'll put that question to the side, right? I will answer the question, but for the time being, let's put the question to the side. A thought comes into the mind. What does the mind do? The mind takes it, interprets, right? First, anything that comes to the mind, what does the mind do? The mind wants to know what it is. So it will receive, register, respond, and eventually, in the very end, will perceive and say, okay, I want to turn the TV on, right? Now, for the mind to send a signal to the body, what does the body need? For you to move, what does the body need? Trust me, this is something that you're going to do in later on today, which is what? Your body needs energy. For you to move, your body needs energy. So for the mind to make the body move, this body itself needs what? This body itself needs what? Energy. And it sends a signal, the mind sends a signal to the brain sends a signal to the body, which is also what? And very simply, the body itself is what? The body itself is... So let's quickly go through this as well. So what is the body? The body itself is this. The body is, your arms, legs, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, right? All of this is the body. Now, where does it come from? Where does your body come from? Now, the very easy answer is, well, my body comes from, my mom and dad and all this stuff, and therefore I was born. Well, That's where you got your DNA. However, where did the body come from? Mom had to eat. And then you had to eat. And then you grew. And then once you came out of the body, now you had to eat by yourself. So you grew some more. Plus 30 years. Right? Plus 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, 200 years. Right? If you live that long. You consume. Now the body is made from what? From the food we ate. So for example, our body is a bowl of rice. It's a loaf of bread. It's a glass of milk. That's what the body is, right? The body doesn't come from anywhere but the food that we consume. That's why if someone was to consume a lot of high fat nutrition and don't use it, what will happen to their body? Their body will start to grow. It will become bigger. They'll become taller horizontally. Why? Because food is what our body is made from what? Food. So our mother and father gave us our DNA. Agreed. Where does DNA come from? What made DNA? Mother and father had to eat. Mother and father's cells had to divide. To divide, it needed some nutrients. That comes from what? The food. Therefore, our DNA itself is made from what? Food. So, very simply, our body, if x is equal to y is equal to z, x is equal to z. Agreed? If food give nutrients for body, that means body is food. Now, that's not saying no. That sounds wrong. That's not saying that body is equal to body is not food, as in like it's not food that we consume, but it's made from what? Food. Okay. Where does food come from? Let's get rid of meat, right? Meat comes from animals, right? But I want to go to the very basic, right? Let's take the bowl of rice. Where does rice come from? Now, trust me when I say this. I've asked this question to some children, right? Children to late adults, right? Let me explain this as well. To adults as well. Some adults still don't know where rice comes from. They think it comes from a bag. Children, they think it comes from, a pot, right? The rice cooker. I've had a child tell me, I asked, like, where does rice come from? They say, in my kitchen there's a pot, right? If any time I look into the kitchen and open this pot, there's some rice in it. So rice comes from what? The pot. So we all know rice. Rice is a plant, right, that grows in a paddy field, right? Now, where does the plant grow? Like, where does the plant? What does the plant need to grow? It needs light, fertilizer and nutrients. It needs water, right? This is going back to small learning about trees and plants, right? We need all these nutrients, and that grows plant. nutrients. Okay, let me skip half the story. For the rice to grow, it needs sunlight, it needs nutrients and all this stuff. Where do these all come from? These are all also what? They all arrive from energy. Water itself came from energy. So if we took the scientific theory of Big Bang, the Big Bang, the Big Bang, the start of the universe, the scientific theory of Big Bang, where did everything come from? Energy. So, hand is also what? Energy. Because if X equals Y equals Z, if food equals body, and if food is energy, and body is also what? Because there's two types of energies. One energy is, the light, heat, elastic, gravitation potential, and all that. Then you have the other sort of energy, which is the condensed energy. If we were to take a page from Albert Einstein, E equals mc squared, which means what? Energy is equal to mass times the speed of light squared. But most importantly, E is equal to m. Energy is equal to mass. Mass is equal to energy, which means these both are the same. So basically, the hand itself is what? Energy. Now, for an idea, so the mind itself is what? The mind is also energy, right? Do we see a correlation here? Starting to appear? Okay. Energy, 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 energy. Okay? Now, because of this energy, what happens? Because of this energy, what happens? Button is pressed. No. The pressing of the button is what? Have a guess. What is the pressing of a button? Thank you. Energy. Which sends out what? Oh, okay. Which is received and translated into what? Energy. Thank you. Which then emits what? And it's perceived by what? The eyes, the mind, which is what? So, I see a small pattern here. No? All of this is what? The path of what? Energy. This is the path of what? Energy. Coming back to the bowl of rice and consuming. After having the idea of eating, what is happening? See, I can't even say what are you doing, because you're not the one doing this. Because once an idea is in your mind, the mind will take action. The mind will take action. Yes, there's this feeling that you're doing it, but we'll come back to that. But an action will be put into place. So once you are hungry, or once there's food available, the body will expend energy to take the bowl, and will use energy to put more energy inside. So this is a closed system. This is why this can go on forever and ever and ever and ever. But all this started because of this, right? The thought. Where does thoughts come from? When the mind has the idea, when the mind has this idea, and it perceives, what happens is this sends the mind. All right, let's say this, right? I want you all to remember, right, your absolute favorite chocolate cake you've ever eaten. Right? I want you to remember, if you don't like chocolate cake, think of something else, right? Carrot cake or whatever cake you like. But I want you to think of your absolute most favorite chocolate cake. Right? Now your mouth is watering and you think, what is the thought that comes into your head? When you really like something, what is the thought that goes through your head? How can I get some more? That's why if someone has bought it for you, what do? You ask them what? Where did you buy it from? If they say, oh, I made it, what do you ask? Can you WhatsApp me the recipe? I just want to try making it myself. If they say there's no recipe, what would you do? What would you do? If they say there's no recipe, okay, I know, I just threw some things here and there and made it. What would you do? Can you please make some more? Can I bring some home? What is this trying to do? This is trying to relive that experience again. The mind has that as well. The mind wants to relive experiences again because of ignorance, right? We'll keep that there for now, because I really do want to go through this again, right? It really wants to relive through experiences. So, what it does is, when something goes through the mind, it sends energy back. Back in the form of what? We say karma. So we say every action has its karma, right? So if you were to do something, what you give is what you get. So it will send. So for now, we'll say karma, but that's also what? Karmic energy, right? Karma back into the what? Into the atmosphere, into the universe, or however you want to say it. For when the environment is right for this energy to come back again. So what are we saying here? So even thoughts are what? I'm seeing a lot of energy here. I'm sensing a lot of energy here. The process of you turning on the TV is the process of what? The constant flow of what? Energy. So, what are you doing here? Which part do you play? All right, let's go from the very back, right? Right, from the last part. Let's take a different pen for this. Do you control that energy? Do you control this energy? Do you control this energy? What about this one? Okay, those are all external. What about the energy for you to press the button? Do you control that? What about the energy for the body to move? Did you control? Did you supply that energy? What about the signal from the mind to the body? Did you control that energy? Now you can say, well, isn't it because I'm the one thinking, so that's why I can lift up this or put this down? You can say that, yes. However, if I was to simply ask you, well, for you to move, we all know that muscles have to be at play. How many muscles does it take for you to lift up your left arm? To pick and lift, how many muscles does it take? Does anyone want to give a guess? For you to pick up something, right, with your left arm. As I remember, it takes more than 27 muscles. Yes, 27 muscles for you to pick something up. How? Anyone here know every single one of these 26 muscles, 27 muscles? Anyone? Anyone like to guess? So even the picking up something. So you pressing the button. Could it be you who pressed it, or is it you who, is it, the signal was sent and the body acts accordingly? That's why there are certain, I want to say technology out there, you can say, where one person can control the body of another person. Not in the weird sci-fi way, where you can like implant things and do all this, but simply, again, my amazing artwork here. If this is an arm, right? This is the tricep and bicep. They have found ways to connect wires from here to here and here to here. Which means when one person lifts up their arm, what happens to the other one? What happens to the other one? So when person A lifts up their arm, what happens to person B? Whether they like it or not, against their will, their body will act accordingly. And that's why, have any of you ever experienced being like electrical shocked? No, leakages and whatnot. I don't know. I've had several. I have some park with electricity, but you realize every time you get shocked, especially like I remember that I think we had like there's these pens. I remember these so very vividly, that these pens, that when you click it, instead of like the pen coming out, it sends an electric signal through the body, right? It's one of those prank pens. What you realize is once you press it, your body involuntarily will act. And that's why, when someone is tasered, but what happens is all muscles in their body starts to contract. That's why that's why, because of this contraction, they cannot move. No matter how big or strong they are, once the electricity is passed, they can't move because the body is under their control. No, the body acts according to the causes. Supply energy to one thing and it will contract. Like, even if we were to zoom in into a muscle, the way a muscle works is phenomenal, right? I think I briefly touched upon this, but I'm not going to go into too much detail today either. But it's a muscle working is basically a protein rowing a boat. Trust me, it looks exactly like that, right? It's basically, and they call it like, power stroke, right? Literally, it's a protein grabbing on. Again, the protein doesn't grab, but it looks like it's grabbing and pulling. Grab, pull, grab, pull, grab, pull. And that's how a muscle will contract. So do you control this? Or is energy controlling energy? Do you control which muscle the body sends the brain sends the signal to? That's why, there are so many tricks that you can do to the body, because we don't have control over it. What about the mind itself? Can we control the mind? This comes back to where we started. Can we control the mind? Can we stop being angry? Stop being frustrated? Can we stop ourselves from doing all that? You can say, well, wasn't it my idea to press the button on the TV? No, the thought arose in the mind. We're in mid-January, right? Coming to the end almost. How many of you have broken your resolutions? This year's resolutions? Huh? Statistically, by the end of February, 70% of everyone should have broken their resolutions. 70%. Which is very interesting because, our mind doesn't work the way we want it to work. That's why, don't you find yourself doing things almost naturally? For example, you come home, right, from work, you sit on a sofa and you turn on TV. Sometimes that happens almost without any conscious thought. You only after you turn on the TV, do you realize, oh, I came home, I sat down, turned on the TV. How did that happen? Because the mind will always the mind works not according to what you want or what you don't want, because that is what the mind is. The mind is what is the thing that processes information. It's not that you can control, what you can't control. It's what happens. That's why someone can give you a view and you can think differently. That's why someone can give you a view and you can think completely differently. That's why someone can give you a view saying that, this plate belongs to Elvis Presley. If I can give a strong enough view, what happens? Well, if you like Elvis, whether you like it or not, what will happen? Can I have it? How much for it? $1 million. And again, according to your views, you act accordingly. It's not that you can control how you think. Thinking happens. Thinking will always happen. That's why ads work. If you can control your mind, that means there's no need for ads. What are ads there for? Simply for you. I don't know. I remember in the UK, we had a shop called Specsavers where we get glasses. Probably around the world as well. And they have one of the most creative ads, right? So someone's landing, I remember one where they're landing a spaceship and they miss the spot entirely. They land in the ocean. And at the end it says, should have gone to Specsavers. Right? And what is that trying to do here? What is that trying to do? It's trying to remind you that, okay, if something has gone wrong, if you can't see properly, where should you go? Specsavers. Now, it's not saying that it's bad or good. It's what it's trying to do is trying to almost condition your mind. That's why sometimes, especially anywhere, there are certain sounds, certain smells, certain things that when you see, automatically you feel an urge to do something. For example, right? If you drive past a McDonald's sign, right? Sometimes you have the urge. Oh, Sri Lanka, you don't have McDonald's, but in other countries, right? You sometimes have the urge to like drive in and maybe just order just one thing. Or in Sri Lanka, you have, the takaradak, the what? The kotu. All you have to do is just walk past, and as you hear the takaradak, right, of the sound of the making of it's not traditional, is it? But a very Sri Lankan dish of kotu. Automatically, you feel maybe I should go inside and try some. Or even better, the smell. Smell travels far. That's why when you smell this the scent of freshly baked bread, you suddenly have this urge to just walk in and just buy something. Why? Is it because you control it? So we've talked about in the past how people have taken this to their advantage and used it to make you buy things. But we don't want to go there today, right? But again, what is this? A flow of energy. Flow from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. Now, what part do you play here? Even the thoughts that arise in your mind, you don't control. So what part do you play here? The only part that you play is the part that feels as though they're in control. In other words, ignorance. But coming back to the TV, you want to watch TV, you turn the TV on, it's not working. What should you realize? Something's wrong with what? Something's wrong with what? Something's wrong? Something's wrong? Nothing is wrong. Energy has flowed in some way. Nothing is wrong. It just flown in one way. Whether it's right or wrong, that's a different story. What has happened was that energy flowed in a certain way. Okay? Energy flowed in a certain way that this turned on. Energy flowed in a certain way that this didn't turn on. Okay. But if you expect that, no. The TV is under my control. The remote is under my control. The hand is under my control. The mind itself is under my control. And therefore, all this is also under my control. Check the batteries. Flip the batteries over. Have you done this before? If the batteries don't work, you take them out, you flip them over. So if there's 2 batteries, you swap them over. Because why you think that this is This is in your control. This is, I mean, I have literally just took like a whistle-stop tour between all these different layers. Trust me, each of these layers hold an entire whole understanding with them, right? Trust me, this layer is, the more you think about this, it is, I don't know, I find it really fun, right? But it's really fun to think about because this is what's truly happening. However, because of ignorance, because of jati, we feel that I'm doing all this. But however, energy. So these different layers, I've literally just took a whistle-stop tour on each and every one of these layers. Sometimes I don't think I did this one or the others enough liberty. I should have done them. I should have explained them better. But I am aware that our time is limited. So the next time, right? The next time something doesn't go the way you want it to go, take a moment and go through these layers. So there'll be times where one layer is easier to think about than others. Then take that layer. Think about that. Is this what gives me pleasure? Is this under my control? What is this? Ask yourself these sort of questions. This is the manual of the universe. Now, manuals don't tell you how to control it, but explains to you how it works. Because by understanding how this all works, now if something in this process doesn't work, can you become angry? Can you be frustrated? Can you feel desire, aversion, or delusion? Can you feel that desire here? The TV is playing, your absolute most favorite movie. Once you understand it to be energy, can you feel desire? No, you can still watch it. I mean, can you not watch energy? Can you not watch energy? Well, anyway, you're already doing it. Whether you know you're watching energy or if you don't know you're watching energy, you're still watching energy. So you can still watch energy. However, you don't feel desire. If something goes wrong, you don't feel aversion, you don't feel hatred, you don't feel anger. And most importantly, you cannot feel ego. You cannot feel pride. Pride of what? Pride can only come if you think that you control it. Like, you know how it happens, right? Not nowadays, but before. When you try to key the engine, you turn the engine and it's not turning on. Someone else gets into the seat and turns it on. Right? What they feel such big people, like, I turned this machine on, I turned the car on. I remember once something's wrong with our car. Mom is trying to turn the engine on, right? And she's like, oh, it's not turning on. We're late for something and whatnot. I remember, I think I was not legal enough to drive, but legal enough to start the engine, but not legal enough to drive. I started the engine, and I somehow did something, and I started the engine. And I was on cloud 9 the entire day. I thought, I'm such a great person. I turned the engine on. Right? I did this. I did this. Because of me, were we able to go to X, Y, and Z? Because of me. But in reality, the engine turned on because I turned it on? No, the engine turned on because what? The causes came together. Was I a cause? No. Was I supplied a cause? Who knew? Mom did it 5 times. It's only on the 6th time that it turns on. It could have been, like a toddler, right? That turned it on. It was still turned on. It wasn't me. So how can you feel ego for something you haven't done? Can you feel ego? So again, we've gone through so many topics very quickly. And but I do want to explain some of these topics in much more detail in the future. Much more detail. Because these are very interesting, and the more you understand, well, the truth will set you free. You'll be freed from anger, stress, frustration. And what's left behind is peace and happiness. And it is something that, everyone can tell you. But but the only time that you really understand it is once you experience it yourself. That's why, that's why Guru Maharaj, our teachers, will continue to say, just spare just one life, just 1 year to understand this. Because after that, you're free. You're free from the shackles of your own mind, your own jail. Now nothing can make you upset. Nothing can make you angry. Nothing can shake your mind. You'll be freed. So this is almost me like turning the pages of the manual very quickly. And this and this are all in the manual. Now, the manual is much more deeper, much more bigger. This is just a taster, you can say, of what the manual truly holds. But again, the manual cannot be given. You write your own manual. Only you can write your own manual. Okay, then let's take a few moments to transfer our merits and bring this session to a close. Let's take a moment to transfer the merits we've acquired by making offerings to the infinite virtues, the noble triple gem, chanting prayers, listening dharma, and engaging in various meritorious deeds today. So first and foremost, let's remind ourselves how incredibly fortunate we are to be in receipt of Lord Buddha's teachings. And with immense gratitude, let's transfer the message to the Bhikshu, Bhikshunis, Upasakas, who since time immemorial have protected and preserved the sublime teaching of the Buddha and passed it down through generation of noble lineage in the form of the Tripitaka, which is thankfully available to us today to study, to understand, to comprehend Dhamma. Let's also take a moment to transfer merits that we've all acquired to all the members of the Mahasangha present throughout the world, including all triplets or chapters, who have dedicated their lives to no path and committed themselves to betterment of all sentient beings. Let's not forget among them will be the monks and nuns resident in local temples and nunneries, who have always been by his side for thick and thin, come rain or shine. There's also even transfer merits to Guru Sananse, as well as other monks resident at the monastery, as well as anagarikas attached to the monastery. Let's take a moment to transfer the merits and express our gratitude to those who made great effort to disseminate the teaching of the Buddha, be there by translating them and share them out with others, inviting others to join them. May the power of the merits, if any of them have been born in the wealth of plains, may they redeem themselves and born in the bliss of plains. May by the power of merits, may they abstain from non-meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Take a moment and transfer our merits to our devotees, friends of the monastery who for sake of merits continue to sustain the Mahasangha. This includes every one of you who made contributions to the construction of the monastery, to those of you who provide the Mahasangha with shelter, arms, or medicines, as well as those who pass in their hearts and their well wishes. May the power of the merits, may they abstain from the meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble path, and attain the supreme bliss in Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's take a moment to transfer our merits to our mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews, nieces, our elders, friends and acquaintances, employees, to all those who have helped us, supported us, assisted us in any shape or form. By the power of these merits, may they be healed of any physical or mental ailments. May they overcome any obstacles in spiritual progress. May they abstain from mental deeds, fulfill the mental deeds, fulfill the noble path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's also take a moment to transfer merits to devas, brahmanas, spirits, demons, primarily the Sakudeva, as well as the numerous gods and deities who are committed to protect and fulfill the Sambuddhasana. Let's also take a moment to transfer merits to guardian deities who keep a watchful eye over us and keep us out of harm's way. May they power these merits, may they prosper in divine power and wisdom. May they abstain from unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we want to transfer merits to our ancestors who predeceased us, to all who have been friends and family to us in this infinitely long journey in samsara, to all those who have helped us, supported us, assisted us in any way they could. So we want to transfer merits to all the members of the armed force, as well as the police force, who have sacrificed their lives to protect the peace and harmony of our nation. May all those lost life in the war, be the friend or foe, rejoice in the merits of Christ today. Resulting in transfer to all those lost their life in natural calamities such as tsunamis, earthquakes, landslides, pandemics, and also including the recent fires in Los Angeles. Reminding ourselves that among them, with those who have been friends and family to us in long journey samsara, let's take a moment to transfer merits to them. May the power of these merits, if any of them be born in the willful plane, may they redeem themselves in born discipline. May by the power of the merits, may they abstain from the meritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble path, and attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, all resolve, may the power and blessing of all the merits we require throughout the day. We've been witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of Arhat nuances, Arhat main nuances in this blessed land. And finally, may through all the power of all the merits required the other day, you and I and everyone who had made this program a success become an Arhat nuance or an Arhat main nuance in this era, in this very life, in the era of the Gautama Supreme Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the blessings of the Noble Buddha be with you all. And the members of the Mahasangha will now transfer the blessings to you. Raga ginen midetva Dvesha ginen midetva Moha ginen midetva Nibbana param sukhayin Sukita taravetva Nibbana param sukhayin Sukita taravetva Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satnvayo Nibbana param sukhayin Sukita taravetva Nibbana param sukhayin Sukita taravetva Nibbana param sukhayin Sukita taravetva Raga gini niveva Desha gini niveva Moha gini niveva Nivan sapa labeva Nivan sapa labeva Nivan sapa labeva Tunronge Susyananta Mahaguna Belin Siloka Satyoma Nibbana Brahmasagin Sutravita Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu